What's up, Warren's vlog, episode 4. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. I just took my friends home. I had the SummerSlam party here. So, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be here too long because it is 2 o'clock in the morning and I got to get some sleep at some point. So, I don't really know how to feel about SummerSlam that just went off the air. I'm a little conflicted. It's some things that I like. It's other things I didn't. Certain people won, but then they didn't win how they should have won. Basically, the booking was just all fucked up. So let's just get right into it. All right, so I'm going to try to do this in the order that the matches actually happened. So the first match that happened was actually the pre-show match, which doesn't usually factor into my ratings for the show overall, but I'll talk about it. Big E versus Baron Corbin, bum-ass Baron Corbin, as Pat McAfee likes to call him. It was a decent little opener match. Big E won, and he reclaimed his briefcase that he never officially lost. So then we get to the show proper. So we start off with Randy Orton and Matt Riddle challenging AJ and Omos for the Raw Tag Titles. I was wrong about this match. I thought that AJ and Omos would retain due to dissension between Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. But lo and behold, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle won. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle won. And we got new Raw Tag Team Champions. I think it was a great way to kick off the show. I don't really have that much bad to say about it. They isolated Omos. Well, I should say they isolated AJ Styles and kept Omos out of the ring. And Randy Orton hit the RKO and AJ Styles, and 1, 2, 3. We got new tag champions. So, great way to kick off the show. I always say, when you got a pay-per-view like this, that you want to try to kick the show off strong and have a babyface win. And that's what they did. So, I gave that match a like. I'm going to do my pay-per-views the same way I do Raw and SmackDown. It's just going to be a simple like and dislike. That's basically it. Randy Orton won, and Matt Riddle won, so we got new Raw Tag Team Champions. Then I believe after that we go to Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie, and in my prediction video, I said that I mentioned how the IWC is hating on Eva Marie. Oh, Bray Wyatt doesn't have a job, but this bitch got a job, and blah 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 blah. And I kind of sat on the fence because I was like, well, maybe she's gotten better in these 5 years since she's been off. Maybe I used to watch Total Divas, so I was a mark for Total Divas, and she was training with Brian Kendrick then, who was a student of Shawn Michaels, so you would think she would be good, but she was trash during her last run. But despite her last run, I tried to remove that from my memory as best as I could, and I tried to be like, well, we'll see how. I'll reserve judgment for when I see Eva Marie wrestle to see how good she's got. And man, she's fucking trash. I mean, Eva Marie took a ghost bump off of a shoulder block that Alexa Bliss threw, and I don't know whether it was mistimed or it just looked like a ghost bump. Maybe the camera was in the wrong spot. I noticed that later on when John Cena took that drive-by dropkick, how the replay looked better than the first shot of it. So Cena turned his head early, but I'll get to that match when I get to it later. I just wanted to bring that up because I think that was the same situation where you had the camera in the wrong place. And it just looked like Eva Marie just took a ghost bump. which is almost forgivable. But then we get to the DDT, and man, oh, that DDT was horrible. Oh my god. And that's like the worst face bump I've ever seen. And oh, it was ass. And it was the ending of the match. So I could understand if, like, okay, the ghost bump that Eva Marie took in the middle of the match. You know, it's the middle of the match. Shit happens. But when you fuck up the ending, it's like, oh, jeez. So it was just bad. Oh, it was bad, man. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. So I gave that a dislike. Alexa Bliss won. And then you got to factor in also that I'm not really big on this Alexa character right now. I'm not that invested in the storyline because and here's the thing. You showed dissension between Dewdrop and Eva Marie the second they're paired together on TV. Like, you don't even give that storyline room to develop into anything because you already showed dissension leading up to SummerSlam, which we didn't know at the time that it was going to lead to SummerSlam. But as soon as you put them together, they're already showing dissension. So I guess the come away from this was Dewdrop grabbing the microphone at the end of the match and was like, and the loser, Eva Marie. And I guess that was a comeuppance, somewhat, I guess, but not the type of comeuppance that you get excited for. Like, it wasn't that Linda McMahon rising out of her wheelchair and kicking Vince McMahon in the nuts type comeuppance, or Trish Stratus slapping Vince McMahon type of comeuppance. It was just, and I know that's kind of hard to compare the two, but. I don't know, man. It just fell flat to me. So I gave that a dislike. And again, I don't know if I'm doing this in order or not. I think after that we had the Usos versus Rey Mysterio, or versus the Mysterios. It's a match that we've seen before. So I almost didn't like it or dislike it. I almost was just like, I'm just going to give it it was there. It wasn't I gave it a like. I counted it towards a like because it wasn't a bad match. But it's a match that we've seen before. And that's really all I can say about it. For some reason, and I know this is bad, I should be able to tell them apart, but one of the Usos hit the splash off the top rope, and Rey Mysterio was on his back. And I'm like, well, who is he, the Ultimate Warrior? That was my joke of the night. But, yeah, the Usos won. Like I said, it's a match we've seen before, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like bad. It wasn't a bad match, and it wasn't bad enough for me to give it a dislike. So I gave it a like. But again, it's a match that we've seen before. All right, so after that we go to, and again, I don't know if I'm doing these in order. Sheamus and Damian Priest. I gave this a like. My friend that was at the show, Harry, will, I told him, man, these guys are going to beat the shit out of each other. There's going to be a hard-hitting match. And then they started off doing chain wrestling. And I got to give Harry credit for this call because Harry said that, well, everyone knows that they're brawlers. So to just go in brawling is not smart. It's better to build to that. So doing the chain wrestling is a good way to build to that hard-hitting brawl. And I thought that was an excellent observation, an excellent call by Harry. So I got to give my man Harry credit for that. And he was absolutely right. It was the right way to go, to start off small with some chain wrestling and some chain holds and exchange holds, and then gradually build up to that brawling type of match that you knew they were going to have anyway. Excellent heel work by Sheamus. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves sometimes. You know how Sheamus does the 10 beats of the Valkyrie where he hits people in the chest hard as fuck, which has to hurt. So he starts the beats of the Valkyrie, right? He does 1, 2, and I think he stops at 3 or 4 when he realizes that the fans, they're trying to get in on the fun. And Sheamus says, no, 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 fella. It's minor, but it's great heel work. There was a false finish where Damian Priest did a springboard off of the middle rope into which looked like a bro kick, but it was actually a running knee that Sheamus threw to counter it, and it got a nice false finish. Like, we all thought that was it. Everybody at my house thought that was a bro kick, but then when they replayed it, it was the knee. And I think either Cole or whoever was on commentary, Corey Graves for Raw, called it the knee. So that was a nice false finish. And, man, it was just a hard-hitting match. I loved it. And Damian Priest won. We got a new U.S. champion. Tiffany Haddish, a comedian, I think is Kevin Hart's protege, did the interview, and she was like, how does it feel to be the first national champion? And I'm like, oh, man, Tiffany Haddish, why? Like, why? And I love Tiffany Haddish, but damn, she just made an ass of herself. But yeah, that was that. I gave that a like. That was a great match. We got a new U.S. champion. I was wrong about that. I was right about the Usos winning. And I was wrong about... Yeah, I was right about the Usos winning. I was wrong about Sheamus winning. So then we go to what was supposed to be Bayley... Or, I'm sorry, what was supposed to be Bianca Belair... versus Sasha Banks for the women's title, a SmackDown women's title. Now there's rumors going on saying that I guess I don't know if, and I don't want to misspeak, but I don't know if Sasha got COVID. I heard that, and then I heard Sasha refused to get the vaccine. So something's going on with Sasha where she's being a diva, and she ended up getting pulled out of the match. So, the champion comes out first. Bianca Belair came out first, and that's when I thought something was kind of fishy, because, oh no, the champion's coming out first. And then the announcer gets on the mic and says, well, Sasha Banks is not going to be able to compete tonight. And taking her place will be Carmella. And everybody in my apartment, including myself, is like, well, this is kind of ass. I mean, didn't Bianca Belair just whoop Carmella's ass, like, yesterday? Like on SmackDown? And I think even one of the announcers, it might have been Michael Cole or probably Pat McAfee, got on the microphone. Well, during commentary said, well, Bianca just wiped the floor with Carmella a night ago. So Carmella gets in the ring. Bianca grabs the microphone and says, okay, it may not be tonight, but best believe, Sasha, it will be me and you one-on-one in this ring at some point. But Carmella, I'm going to wipe the floor with Joe Desta behind. And I really like the fact, and I'm paraphrasing, but I really like the fact that Bianca doesn't swear. Like, I can respect that. I really can. Because it kind of sounded like she was going to say, I'm going to beat your dusty ass. But he said, no, I'm going to beat your dusty. And there's something else she said on SmackDown, too. I forgot to mention this when I did my SmackDown review. But she was referencing, I think, Carmella or Zelina Vega, and she said, well, you thought she was going to say bitch, but she said trick, or she didn't say trick. But you thought she was going to say bitch, but she said this chick. So, I can admire Bianca Belair for not swearing. I think that's an admirable trait. So, right before Bianca Belair and Carmella starts to happen, then we hear the whoa. Becky Lynch returns after almost a year and a half of being gone. She left, or you know what, 2 years? About 2, I think. Anyway, she left after Money in the Bank 2020 because she was pregnant, and so she left. Anyway, she comes back and gets in the ring, gets that pop, really soaks in that crowd response. She disposes of Carmella, throws Carmella into the steps, and it was just a really bad, like, fucking take the steps, man. Like, I keep going back to Roman Reigns and John Cena. Like, Roman Reigns whipped Cena into the steps, and he fucking took the steps, man. Like, he took them bitches. I'm not saying that you gotta Mick Foley a bitch and fucking go legs first and do a front flip, but, like, it was just a weak steps shot that Carmella took. And I was like, oh, God, okay. So then Becky gets in the ring and says, how about you go one-on-one with me? And then they shake hands. I guess Becky sucker punched her, but it happened so fast that I missed it. So Becky sucker punched her and then gave her the rock bottom. They tried to call it a manhandle slam, which is fucking retarded. It's a rock bottom. Or a motherfucking bookend. But anyway, she hits the rock bottom, and then out of nowhere, fucking Becky Lynch is champion. And I'm like, it kind of got me in a fucked up place. And I gave it a dislike. I gave it a dislike because the booking is just, like, why? Fucking why? You spent the entire year of 2021 building Bianca Belair up to be a superstar, okay? You have her win the Royal Rumble. I think last year you have her Iron Man damn near the Royal Rumble. She lasted most of the time, but then ended up losing. But still, you even started this the year prior. But this year you actually have her win the Rumble. You know, you have her go to WrestleMania. You have her main event WrestleMania. She beats Sasha Banks in the main event, part 1 of WrestleMania. You know, they get an ESPY off of this shit. You know, you have her beat Bayley. You should beat Sasha at WrestleMania. You have her beat Bayley, although the storyline for that was centered around laughing. But whatever. You have her beat Bayley. You have her beat Carmella. You build her up to be this strong champion for half the year, only for Becky to come back and beat her in fucking less than 10 seconds. So it makes everybody that it's a waste of time. You wasted time building Bianca Belair to be the strong champion. It makes everybody that Bianca defeated look weak, and it just makes Becky ridiculously OP for no reason. And here's the thing. I popped when Becky came out. I like Becky Lynch. I do. So, but the booking was just wrong. And it was a shock. It was shock for shock's sake. And I did not like it. As much as I like Becky Lynch, it hurt Bianca Belair, and I really like Bianca Belair. So, that was horrible. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal was a waste of time. Nothing really to say about that. It was a waste of time. Straight up, McIntyre won. Hopefully, we can just be done with this storyline now that McIntyre's won. And I believe I said that in my prediction video. Like, just it's over now. McIntyre won. Move on to something else. What you move him on to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't challenge Bobby Lashley, you know, for the Universal title, which I kind of gave that away, but I'll get to that when I get to it later. All right. Let's see. Edge versus Rollins. Match of the night. Definitely gave that a like. My favorite spot in the match is when Seth Rollins, I like when Seth Rollins kept trying to go for the curb stomp, but Edge kept countering it over and over again. But my favorite sequence is when Seth Rollins went for this Phoenix Splash, missed, got speared, and kicked out. I thought that was great. Um, how could I forget Edge coming out with the Brood entrance, with the Brood music, with the Ring of Fire was awesome. I marched like a 12-year-old little boy. That was cool to see that. And I really liked it because it kind of showed the evolution from the Brood to the Rated R Superstar. Because you had the Brood entrance, you had the music, you had the fire, you had the entrance, and then the music stopped. Edge paused, did the taunt, and then you think you know me on this day, and then so it was a nice little evolution of entrances, evolution of Edge to say the least. It was really cool to see. Um, and the crossface, like that's like the new sharpshooter. If you're from Canada, you got to do the crossface. I don't know why. It's a rule. I didn't make it up. Yes, I did. Don't argue with me about it. It's 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'm tired. Anyway, Edge put the crossface on Seth Rollins, and like right when Seth was about to break it, like Edge grabbed Seth's head and just slammed his head into the mat repeatedly, locked on the crossface, but this time did like a headlock with it, and Seth Rollins tapped out, and that was a good match. I said in my prediction video, I officially predicted Rollins to win, but I did say that if Edge won, that this would be it. Like this would be the end of that story. Edge won, move on to something else. Again, would he really move him on to? I don't know, but I think they should just discontinue that storyline. All right, then we go to Nikki Ash defending the women's title against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. And Charlotte wins low. Like that's gonna be like the new John Cena wins low. Charlotte wins low. You book Nikki like shit. The whole thing was a waste of time. Why? Why have Nikki Ash win the Money in the Bank briefcase in the first place? Why do you have her then cash in on Charlotte to win the title? Okay, now she's the champion. Now, why do you then have her lose clean to Charlotte and Rhea Ripley on Raw while she's the women's champion? Why do you then have her team up with Rhea Ripley on the same night that she lost to Rhea Ripley clean in a tag team match for that team to lose to Charlotte Flair? Why then then you get to SummerSlam, you have the champion come out first, and then you have I don't know why I sound like Eddie Murphy trying to sound like Bill Cosby, but it just doesn't make sense. You have Nikki Ash lose the fall to Charlotte via submission. So this is like her 14th women's title. None of it makes sense at all. Like, you could have had Nikki hold on to the briefcase for like a few months or something. It's a waste of the briefcase. It's a waste of my fucking time. And it's a waste of anybody else's time who is a fan who got invested in the Nikki Ash's character. You have just wasted their fucking time. If the end goal was to have Charlotte win at SummerSlam, then all that bullshit should not have happened with Nikki Ash in the first place. Man. And I just want to make my point clear. It's not so much that I'm upset that Charlotte won. It's not even that. I mean, it is that, but it's more of the way they book Nikki Ash. Like, she will never be taken seriously again going forward. And then I don't know where you go from here. I mean, maybe you can set it up for Rhea Ripley to face Charlotte again down the road, Um, One of my friends suggested maybe switching Bianca Belair to Raw, or yeah, switching Bianca Belair to Raw in the draft later this year, and then that's a new challenger for Charlotte. I don't know, but that didn't sit well with me. All right, so before I move on to the main event matches, I want to cover the segments that they had on the show. They had the Shinsuke Nakamura segment where he just came out and strutted with his Intercontinental title. I gave that a like. And then the dislike was the Miz and Morrison segment where they had Xavier Woods steal the Super Soaker, and then they just sprayed Miz and Morrison. And I was thinking, God, why can't you put that in between Goldberg, in between the two title matches? But you do that before the two title matches, and then you have the title matches back to back. Goldberg and Bobby Lashley was abysmal. Um, I picked Bobby Lashley to win, but not like this, not by referee stoppage. And it's clearly kayfabe referee stoppage because after the match was over, Bobby Lashley took a steel chair to Goldberg's knee. And then Goldberg's son jumped in the ring. And then Bobby Lashley put the hurt lock on him and he passed out. And then Goldberg woke up. To his credit, to Goldberg's credit, still selling the knee. He crawled over to his son's body. And MVP was like, there's no way that he could have known that was Goldberg's son or who it was. But if somebody attacks you from behind, a fan, let's just say, your first instinct is not going to be to put him in a hurt lock. So, yeah, that was stupid. That was a waste of time. I gave that a dislike. Nothing more to say other than, oh damn, this Goldberg and Bobby Lashley storyline is going to continue now because you put your hands on the sun. So we get to see more of this. Yay. John Cena versus Roman Reigns. I gave that a like. This match was solid. I was kind of annoyed for the first half of it because they literally did rinse and repeat. Cena goes for a cover. 1, 2, kick out. Roman squashes Cena down. Cena gets a surprise cover. 1, 2, kick out. Roman squashes Cena down. They would repeat that formula for like a good 10 minutes, and it kind of got old quick. I ain't gonna lie. But then the match picked up. Cena hit the attitude adjustment through the table. Roman kicked out. Then he hit the attitude adjustment from the middle rope. Roman kicked out. Roman hit a bunch of Superman punches. Honestly, it was a lot of finisher spamming. But I can appreciate the fact that it took one spear to put Cena down. Because it shows how dominant Roman Reigns is, and it shows how powerful the spear is. And then there was the spot with the drive-by dropkick that Cena turned too early for, that I mentioned earlier. And I also mentioned the step spot that, Cena really took those steps, unlike Carmella. But the surprise of the night was Brock Lesnar coming back and wrecking fools. Well, he didn't really touch anybody, but just his presence. That got me out of my fucking chair. I was jumping around. And then seeing Paul Heyman like, oh my god, like, where's that gonna go? Like, you got, Paul Heyman used to be Brock's advocate, now he's advocating for Roman Reigns. So I would love to see Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman in the middle. Personally, I think we should put Paul Heyman in a shark cage. That's just my fantasy booking at work there. I'm going to go ahead and bump it up another like, because so far I got 6 likes and 6 dislikes for SummerSlam as a whole. But I'm going to go ahead and bump up another like just for Brock's return. So it's going to bring it to 7 likes and 7 dislikes. for SummerSlam. I'm gonna give it. Um, hmm, I'm gonna give it a C plus. What was good, but what was bad was really bad. So I think a C plus is a fair grade. Um, as far as which show won for the week, I'm about to reveal that right now. Um, I said during my SmackDown review that I felt like SmackDown put on a better TV show, and I'm gonna judge that weekly when it's just Raw versus SmackDown on a TV show. But when you got a pay per view, I'm also gonna look at the pay per view and I'm gonna see which brand performed better. And by a mile, I mean SmackDown outperformed Raw in my opinion. So overall, SmackDown wins for the week. Um, so I gave SummerSlam, like I said, 7 likes, 6 dislikes, C plus. And something else that I'm going to start doing that's new here on the channel is at the end of the week, I'm going to pick an MVP of the week. All right. It's either going to be from Raw or it's going to be from SmackDown. And right now, I'm going to move on to that segment, and we're going to see who I thought the MVP was for the week. I'm going to do this every week. At the end, it'll probably be my SmackDown review when I do it. But if there's a pay-per-view, then I'll do it at the end of my pay-per-view review. So, who was the MVP of the week? Alright, so I decided to cheat and I decided to give it to two people. I gave it to Edge and Seth Rollins. And yes, I use Seth Rollins' old music because I hate his current music. So yeah, Edge and Seth Rollins to me, I really enjoyed the segment on SmackDown. I thought both men's promos were really, really strong. In the hype package for the pay per view, I love how they kept intertwining each other's promos, going up against each other in the hype package. I really enjoyed the Brood Bath that Seth Rollins got on SmackDown. My friend Harry again made it a point to point out that Seth Rollins made sure every single part of his suit was black uh, from the Brood Bath, and that's a professional right there. And then we get to the match itself. Easily match of the night. It's not even close. This was a dream match that really lived up to that dream match moniker. You have a lot of dream matches. You have your Undertaker and Goldbergs. You have your Rock and Hogan's. You have your Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan's. You have your, I can go on and on and on. And, the three that I mentioned, in my opinion, didn't really live up to the moniker of a dream match. Rock and Hogan did from a fan participation aspect of it, but as far as pure wrestling, I don't necessarily think it measured up. Maybe Rock and Hogan isn't a good example, but yeah, Edge and Seth Rollins is a dream match that lived up to that dream match moniker. I'm going to try to give the MVP to just one person, and I was going to give it to Edge, but I really, like I said, I really enjoyed both their work, both men's work, this week. So I got to go with Edge and Roman Reigns as MVPs for the week. So this is going to be like a weekly thing, right? So SmackDown won for the week, and most of the time, whichever brand I thought performed better for the week, most of the time my MVP is going to be on that brand as well. So, who's going to win next week? Tune in, find out. I'll be reviewing Raw probably Tuesday. And I'll review SmackDown probably Saturday morning or Friday night. So, next week, find out who the MVP is, find out which brand won for the week. And I am Warren Freeman. This has been episode 4, and I am out.